He was reborn into a sect full of female disciples and had 7 senior sisters who adored him greatly. Originally, the man's name was Chen. He was reborn into the world of cultivation, specifically the Tianxian continent. At this time, a group of people came to pay their respects to the mountain. A group of people wearing red clothes descended with a red light. Lu Qingshan, the 3rd great elder of the Red Dust Holy Land, and his disciples paid their respects to the elders of the Xianyuan Holy Land. Yu Xiaofeng stared straight at the girl with his thief-like eyes. There were so few disciples from the Red Dust Holy Land this year, and there were at least 50 disciples in previous years, said the 3rd sister. The 4th sister explained that it was because they couldn't get a good deal from us for years, so they just put on a show instead. 2nd sister said, I'll go first in the dinner competition. 4th sister said, among all the sisters, 2nd sister has the strongest swordsmanship. Qingxue sighed upon hearing this, realizing that her swordsmanship was not as good as Yi Chen's, who was probably currently in closed-door cultivation. However, who knew that Yi Chen was currently lying exhausted in someone's arms? Xiao doubted whether Yi Chen's dragon claw technique was really effective, but Yi Chen suggested trying it again. However, Xiao was no fool and wouldn't let him steal the watermelon twice. Such scum should be thrown away and left to compensate for her losses. Meanwhile, the mountain worship competition was underway. The Red Dust disciples shouted, who else dares to come up? Even the Grandmaster was a bit overwhelmed. He thought that with fewer people coming this year, it would be easier to deal with things. But a dark horse appeared. This person's quick and unusual moves surprised even Yu Lingxi and Miaohan. Lu Qingshan, the elder of the Red Dust Holy Land, was very satisfied with this and said that his disciples had been a bit too heavy-handed and asked not to take offense. Yi Qingwu prepared to send 2nd sister to the stage to compete, just as Yu Lingxi was reminding them to be careful. Meanwhile, Xingyi received orders and rushed to the back of the mountain and arrived just in time. Otherwise, Yi Chen might have been in trouble. Xingyi reported that something was not right and wanted Yi Chen to step in quickly to support the team. Just as Qingxue was about to take the stage, Yi Chen hurried back and pulled her aside. He then used the Supreme Pupil technique and discovered some suspicious points. The opponent was actually an experienced expert in disguise. As a result, our disciples usually couldn't withstand more than 2 or 3 moves and would lose. The easy victory made the opponent a bit overconfident. After some careful consideration, Yi Chen revealed his suspicions and then secretly informed Qingxue about his plan. 2nd sister also stepped forward after receiving some guidance. Qingxue from Xianyao Peak came to seek advice, surprising everyone by not bringing any weapons to the stage. Elder Lu Qingshan thought she was showing off a bit. Qingxue waved her hand gracefully and said, come on, I won't dodge. The opponent then kicked her, but at that moment, Yi Chen secretly used the break the formation technique. Although the opponent's attack was quite fierce, suddenly his speed couldn't keep up. Qingxue took the opportunity to kick them, and the Red Dust disciples were shocked to find that their secret formation had been broken. The elders on the stage were amazed by Qingxue's performance. The opponent relied on the speed-enhancing formation, but once it was disrupted, their chi circulation became unstable and their speed slowed down. Yi Chen then attempted to break the illusion mask with his magic, but unexpectedly failed just as he was about to succeed. The opponent returned to their disguised state. Yi Chen was surprised, and Xiao beside him asked what happened. The Red Dust disciples saw that something was wrong and quickly ran away. The other disciples also witnessed the scene. Grandmaster teased, haha, your disciples are really thin-skinned. They ran away after losing just 1 game. Lu Qingshan could only awkwardly respond, the master said. At the same time, Yi Chen explained to Xiao, there is a master here. My formation has been broken. No, the person who fired that shot has a higher cultivation base than him. Yi Chen suddenly ran out with excitement on his face, indicating that he had found the person to take action. It turned out that one of the Red Dust disciples had gone out to the woods to recover from their injuries. The person who had left earlier approached him and respectfully reported a problem on the field. The red-haired person was also surprised that someone could break through this illusion technique and asked him to adjust his breathing carefully and not give others a handle before leaving. However, they did not notice that Yi Chen was hiding behind the tree and witnessed everything. It was unexpected that the Red Dust Holy Sons, who were only second to the head of the sect, were hiding among the ordinary disciples. It seemed that this play was becoming more and more interesting. At this moment, Yi Chen and Xiao came to the guest house. It seemed that the Red Dust Holy Land had some conspiracy and was playing tricks around. Unexpectedly, several people dressed in black scattered and followed one person who climbed over the wall and came to the backyard. They saw a person in black holding a map and gesturing before leaving after performing some unknown technique. When they saw the person leave, Yi Chen and Xiao rushed over to investigate and found a tree root at the location where the person had left, which should be a base point for some formation. Yi Chen went to Yi Qingwu's room and proposed a plan that might disrupt their plan. After some discussion, Yi Qingwu got up and went to prepare. The next day, Yi Qingwu urgently went to the Grandmaster and reported that they had found the body of a disciple at the foot of the mountain who was killed last night. The Grandmaster was deeply shocked after hearing this news, while the Red Dust disciples behind him were discussing. Qingwu immediately speculated that it might be Snow Eagle Sect's revenge and that there must be some fish that slipped through the net last time, hiding in the mountains and forests, waiting for an opportunity to cause trouble. Beside him, Yang Qingshan had originally thought that luckily he didn't suspect them, but upon hearing that they were going to protect them, she quickly wanted to refuse. However, after seeing the determination on the sect leader's face, she could only reluctantly agree. Late at night, Elder Yang was prostrate on the ground, stating that Xianyuan Holy Land's arrangement made it impossible for them to make any moves, but there was a black-clothed figure sitting cross-legged at the head of the bed in front of her. This person was none other than the Red Dust Holy Sun from earlier. Fortunately, it was only for 3 days, so she ordered the disciples below to keep their energy and prepare. There were heavy guards outside the courtyard where they were staying, and Ichin was currently observing from the rooftop. Today, all of this was part of his plan, but they could only delay for 3 days. Grandmaster shouted unhappily because it had been 2 days, and they had yet to capture the perpetrator. Yi Qingwu could only nod and say that they had identified their target. Then, looking at the person who had just walked out, Qingshuan nervously asked about the situation. Yi Qingwu replied, "We can't delay any longer. If there are no results tonight, it will be very detrimental to us." She then asked if there was any news from Little Chen's side. If he came out of seclusion, it would be even more secure. In order to counter the Red Dust Holy Land's plan, Yi Chen was currently closed off in his cave, practicing his swordsmanship. Xiao was anxiously waiting outside, and Miaohan and Yulingxi also came to inquire about the situation. It turned out that Yi Chen had been in seclusion for 3 days already. They were all wondering if they could sneak a peek at something when suddenly the rock wall shattered, and then there was a burst of golden light, and small stones flew around everywhere. Yi Chen came out with an excited expression on his face. He had finally mastered the Tianqian Nine Swords technique, which was incredibly powerful. However, the explosion just now had left his senior sisters in disarray, and then screams of pain were heard from Yi Chen's direction. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Red Dust Holy Sons were leisurely drinking tea and saying, "Today is the end of the 3-day deadline. Let's get ready to arrange the imprisonment divine formation." The next night, Yi Chen took a few sisters out for a walk, and it seemed to be time to close the net. At the same time, there were several masked young men sneaking out. Just as one of them was about to insert something on the ground, Yi Chen suddenly appeared and asked, "What are you doing running out in the middle of the night?" However, the other party was not afraid and rushed towards him, but Yi Chen didn't tolerate it and just looked at him coldly, then swung his sword. The next moment, a sword aura swept up and rippled through the air. The followers of the Red Dust Holy Sons were sent out to set up a formation, and Elder Yang Qingshan was worried about why they hadn't returned. They have all already prepared themselves. If anything happened, they knew what to do. When they heard a commotion outside the door, they went out to see that the several people they sent out had already been caught red-handed. The thief was then escorted by Yi Qingwu and others to this place, and Yi Qingwu asked, "What were your disciples doing sneaking out in the middle of the night?" Elder Yang Qingshan became uneasy because her worst fear had come true. She pretended to be calm and claimed that these 4 were from the Snow Eagle sect. However, Yi Qingwu's eyes grew cold, and she told Elder Lu to take a closer look and not pretend to be confused. She said that these 4 people were all from the Red Dust Holy Land. Elder Yang Qingshan pretended to be surprised and said it was impossible. She then checked them closely, and Grandmaster came over to ask why they were disturbing the guests at this time of night. The sisters explained that they had caught several people plotting something, and that they were all disciples of the Red Dust Holy Land. Elder Yang Qingshan immediately admitted that she had not disciplined them well, and that they were just 4 small thieves. She then swung her sword and killed them on the spot. Yu Xiaofeng arrived just in time to witness this absurd scene. They claimed that they were cleaning house and giving everyone an explanation. Xiao was not happy with this and pointed out that it was clearly a case of killing to silence them. However, at this moment, Yi Chen appeared behind the Red Dust Holy Sons, and they started fighting. Yu Xiaofeng was still a bit confused, but Elder Yang Qingshan was upset because she couldn't express her bitterness. Yi Qingwu also said, "The 4 people who were just killed were caught by us while setting up the spell. Brother, there is definitely a conspiracy in the Red Dust Holy Land this time." Upon hearing this conversation, Yang Qingshan panicked. "What should we do? Should we move ahead? But I'm not ready yet." Meanwhile, the young girl who was fighting in the air was also deeply shocked. "He was able to approach me quietly, and he was able to take so many moves from me. Even though his cultivation level is not high, why is his move so exquisite? This is not the technique of the Holy Land of Immortal Fate. What is the origin of this kid?" And just a short distance away, Ding Wuyan started causing trouble again, bringing Snow Eagle sect into the Holy Land, saying they don't need to be polite and can just attack. As a Holy Son, she saw that Yi Chen was not going down easily, so she immediately used her school's unique skill, the Unbeatable Diamond, to send Yi Chen flying. Yu Xiaofeng looked gloomy at the sight. This skill can only be taught during the transfer of power in the Red Dust School. Yi Chen looked amused at the situation, thinking that the little fox had finally revealed her tale, revealing that her subordinates referred to her as a Holy Son. Suddenly, a disciple covered in blood ran over. "Master, it's not good. The Snow Eagle sect is invading the disciples of Dash." The next moment, he was killed by a flying knife. Immediately, the second bald elder and his men barged in. Grandmaster looked grim. "Ing, are you really disregarding the morals of the world by repeatedly making trouble with our Holy Land of Immortal Fate?" The bald man burst burst out laughing and snorted like a pig upon hearing this. Ha ha ha. What? You want to do it again? Weren't you the one who invited us to rob in the first place? Who said we'd split the loot 50-50ths? Those around him immediately frowned, wishing they could beat Grandmaster to a pulp. However, Yi Qingwu was confused and asked, the Holy Land of Immortal Fate is protected by an enchantment. Last time it was Ding Wuyang who brought people in. This time, Ding Wuyang interrupted her halfway and walked out, saying, yes, it was me again. This made Yi Qingwu speechless. Brother, didn't you say you had locked him up at the Cliff of Reflection? How could he? But Ding Wuyang suddenly shouted, shut up. In Xianyuan Holy Land there are two people I hate the most. One is you, who took my back. The other is you, who took my front. Therefore, only by destroying you can the hatred in my heart be relieved. Yu Xiaofeng, on the other hand, still didn't understand what was going on and thought about asking the Red Dust Holy Land for help. Yi Chen was speechless. They had clearly conspired together and were planning to attack Xianyuan Holy Land. The other side was dumbfounded when they heard this. Ding Wuyang explained again, don't worry. In the afternoon, each peak will be given a glass of fine wine mixed with poison in the name of the headmaster. Now they are all a pool of mud. Shortly after, the Red Dust Holy Sons were ready to make their move. Although they were unable to complete the formation of the Divine Suppression Array, the absence of several peaks made it less of a threat. Just as things were getting critical, the system issued a new task. Host, now I will issue you the designated sign-in task to protect the people of Yuxiao and help the sacred land of Xianyuan survive this catastrophe. Helping the holy land of Xianyuan wasn't a problem, but protecting immortal Yuxiao, well, can I swear not to lay a finger on him? Xianyuan Holy Land is currently under attack from all sides, and Yi Qingwu is leading his disciples to face the enemies head-on. Just as the bald leader of the Snow Eagle sect was about to charge forward, Yi Chen stepped out and pointed his finger, using his 10,000 swords returning to sect technique to send countless swords flying towards the enemy. Qingwu was amazed by her son's strength, recognizing the swords as the weapons of their ancestors. Meanwhile, the Red Dust Holy Sons were displeased with the Snow Eagle sect's weakness and ordered their disciples to set up a formation to trap them. The Xiangyao Peak was surrounded and trapped, unable to break through the barrier even with Xiyao, Yi Qingwu, and in Miaohan's attempts. Qingxue explained that the only weakness was the disciples maintaining the formation, but they were currently sealed inside, so attacking them was impossible. Yi Chen tried to use a powerful move to break the formation, but the Red Dust Holy Sons were keeping watch outside and made it difficult for him to do so. Yu Xiaofeng explained that the key to maintaining a complex formation was having an unhurried mind. Yi Chen then came up with a plan to break the formation by pulling off Yu Xiaofeng's robe, causing the person maintaining the formation to vomit and the formation to collapse. Yi Chen and his companions successfully escaped back to Xianyao Peak, where Yi Qingwu immediately ordered the activation of a defensive formation. However, the enemy disciples continued to pursue them, leading to a fatal crash into the defensive barrier. Yi Qingwu was worried about the other three peaks and called for reinforcements to be sent immediately. The next moment, a beam of light was emitted from Xianyao Peak. Upon seeing this scene, Ding Wuyang panicked. Meanwhile, the two old men were still puzzled and unaware of what was happening. Ding Wuyang quickly explained that it was a signal to recall disciples. Upon hearing this, the Red Dust Holy Sons paid no attention and prepared to control the three peaks. Ding Wuyang intended to speak further, but he was grabbed by the Red Dust Holy Sons, who warned him to watch his tone. The Red Dust Holy Sons then ordered his subordinates to quickly go to the three peaks and take them over. The old man even boasted that he could do it in the time it takes to burn a stick of incense. On Xianyao Peak, Qingxue and her people completed the signal transmission and saw Yi Chen behaving suspiciously. She followed him and asked what he was doing. Yi Chen explained that he wanted to change into Snow Eagle sect clothes and launch a surprise attack. Qingxue argued that it was too dangerous and he shouldn't act like a thief. However, Yi Chen understood that if he asked for permission, they would not agree. He preferred to take the initiative and attack first. Suddenly, Qingxue asked if there were any clothes left. At the same time, the other three peaks were suffering from endless slaughter and destruction. The enemies were like wolves entering a sheepfold, committing arson, murder, and looting. Snow Eagle sect disciples reported the situation to the old man and launched an attack on Xianyao Peak. The old man had evil intentions, and suddenly a disciple reported that Yi Qingwu and her people were approaching from the rear mountain. He urgently ordered someone to intercept them. At night, several people approached the water's edge near the pool in the back mountain. The old man asked where they were and why they came here. Suddenly, the water in the pool surged and two water tornadoes emerged. The other party instantly realized that this was a trap and immediately wanted to take people to escape. The person who fell behind was immediately hit by a sword. Then, countless precious swords flew over like raindrops, and the disciples with lower cultivation were directly eliminated. The bald old man saw this technique and guessed that it was Yi Chen's doing. He was so angry that he cursed loudly. Ha ha ha. Is that all you've got, you bastard? Come out and fight me in the flesh if you dare. What kind of hero is hiding in the shadows and attacking with a sword? However, before he finished speaking, a sword pierced him from behind. He quickly turned around and attacked back. You're playing dirty and not following the code of martial arts. Yi Chen appeared with Tsing Yi and second sister Qingxue. Seeing that the other party dared to curse, was about to draw her sword and attack the thief. However, Ichin grabbed her. She didn't understand why she was stopped, thinking they could handle the enemy in batches. They didn't expect to catch two big fish at once. The Red Dust Holy Sons had already anticipated that he had some plans. The bald old man was overjoyed to see his ally and wanted to team up to kill Ichin. Little Red Riding Hood prepared to set up a formation and asked the bald old man to cooperate with her. Just when he was wondering how to cooperate, his body suddenly swelled up. He never realized until his death that he had been used. The Red Dust Holy Land had many formation methods, including a vicious sacrificial formation. The next moment, the bald old man exploded like a human bomb.